Welcome back to Case Closed Anime Review episode 216. Like in the case last video I just recorded, actually it's quite late now. So let's talk about this episode of Case Closed. This is episode number 1105, which is Kid versus Amuro, Queen's Bang Part 1. Which the episode the entirety of chapter 1000 and almost the entirety of chapter 1000 with the exception of the last 3 pages. So we start off with Conan, Ran, Sonoko at a museum. Excuse me. That Sonoko invited both of them to see like an exhibit, and of course that the Kaido kid is gonna be there, and then Amuro and Azachi, I think I pronounced her name. She's a waitress from the pirate restaurant, which of course apparently is very famous. And of course, Conan has to act like he's Amuro's nephew, even though he really isn't. So of course, there's a famous card trick, and there's a very weird homeless guy comes up, basically tells the meaning behind the trick, and then they get inside. And then there's the inspector, who's always there every time the Kaido kid shows up. Yep. And there's a couple different continuity nods this one to like they mentioned a few different cases like the Kaido kid, though there is one bit of basically forgetfulness on the creators. In the episode, they mentioned, oh yeah, Kaido kid can't disguise himself a kid, even though he has. During the early years of the series, he actually has done that. He disguised himself as Genta for an episode, the only halfway through. But he has to give his child. So the trap for this Queen's Bang, which is simply a tiara with this very cool jewel, they do reference also in here the main Kaido Kid series, where he's looking for a specific jewel, and if he can't find the jewel, he'll return it. The jewel basically he stole. Which that is a common thread from basically for this series and also his main series as a whole. Now, for Armor, I believe this is the second time he's actually taken on the Kaido Kid. Surprisingly, I'm glad Sonoko's here because it was one time she was not here for no explained reason. Yeah, that's when they brought in Kaja for an episode because they had Hidori there for reasons for a single episode. So apparently the trap is they show us on a video on a tablet. Yes, because basically we're in the 21st century. Oh, and also, something that's not brought up in the manga, but maybe in the actual episode, the Wizard of the Reira era, which is the first time in this series it actually mentioned the current era. An era that's been going on now for about 5 years. Yep. So, and then of course, like, oh, as we like possible sleeping gas, everybody gets like gas mask, and instead of like sleeping gas, with exception now, all but 3 people get gas masks, and the people are just basically Amuro. He brings his partner in who was at a Yonko concert. It's like, catch next time. And of course, there's Lee like, oh, you're done. That's all you had to do. And he wanted to stay because it's the Kaido kid. He's excited. And Ichi's there for reasons like, oh, this other kid, she was tired. She doesn't look tired. She's always also bending over to talk to Conan for some reason. And then the smoke comes in, and it's white paint smoke, and everybody gets covered in white paint. And then, of course, basically, oh crap, and the Kaido kid left his car behind. So, like, oh, let's go check it. Hey, it's an inspector. Like, wait, it's an inspector. Why not Conan check it? Because, oh, he can't disguise himself a child, even though he has. We need the chair. And but with the trap itself is simply, if the glass opens, the ceiling will collapse around the case and be trapped in a net. Here, they disable the trap and they open it up, and the tiara is missing. Who has it? Well, you'll find out and see. So basically, after Ever gets cleaned up from all the paint, there's probably still paint on the floor. Ever gets cleaned up, and apparently changed clothes, which in the manga I've never explained why this is. Just that just had to be that way. So I try to figure out who's doing it, and of course Conan suspects is either Amuro, Amuro's partner, or Zazie, which of course basically. Oh, by the way, doesn't in case you're curious, does inspect his little pinch in the cheek thing? Yes, he did that, and once again, the Kyle Kid disguised himself as a police officer, which seems like it's a recurring thing. This guy's as a riot police officer, and apparently the inspector really needs riot police in order to handle the Kaido Kid. Apparently. I have no idea why the heck this is. It's by far one of the most strangest things. I do appreciate also the fact that there's continuity nods here, but there's the obvious stupid thing of the kid. Oh, he can't say his children even though he has. But still good episode. Alright. Next up we have new chapter manga. Proof. Which I don't think I've discussed this before. Let me check and see because I think this chapter just came out. I'm just going to check it just to be sure. No, I haven't. Yeah, I just checked it. So yeah, we're on chapter 1121, Proof. Where the translators went with the Funimation name for Sichi, Jimmy. Like, thinking Jimmy Kudo might be, well, the cow kid. He mentions basically like a theory, and apparently it mentioned the Beltree Express chase, the shot in Chain B. Of course, Kadoke mentions stuff related to Sichi, and of course, like, join us for questioning. Yep. And I still wonder who the heck killed this guy, and of course they talk to people, they look at some video, fall from flashback. Like, lots of chatting. And of course this one was like, oh, here your husband had a fight. Yeah, a fight about money. And then McGuire and Takagi shows up. Yes. Now, in case you're curious, though, as these two show up whenever the Kaioken shows up, I believe this is only, like, in canon form. Like, in the movies, this has happened once. But in the case of canon stories, this, I believe, is the first time these two ever show up in one of these stories. Yeah, first time I could think of, anyways. Yeah, all about potential suspects because of murder. And of course, McGuire thinks that Sichi and Ran are on a date, and they're really not. They just ran into each other. He wasn't sticking around. Serena. Me and Sato once. Ahem. The heck is me? Yep. About jealousy. And of course, yeah, then they referenced the last time that Conan transformed to Sichi, where Ran kissed him on the cheek at a temple, which, yep. And the only reason why that, Kaido Kid would know about that because Conan is using his voice-changing bow tie to tell him all this, to inform people. And apparently the British detective was witnessing this, and he's like, they're in cahoots. And they still can't question who exactly killed them. Like, oh, there's a calling card. Yep. Jeez, I see you. Huh? You sure? And then they kind of suspect who could murder possibly be. It's a pretty interesting chapter for what it is. I do enjoy it. It is interesting. We see return of a character I've seen in over 10, like, basically almost 20 years. It is quite something to see him again. Though I still criticize the chapter for previously when these characters showed up, they referred to one as their regular translated name, and yet here they use the Funimation translated names for some reason. I don't know why. It's one of the most baffling things related to this manga. That's the only grab I have with this. Why the heck are you using the Funimation translation? Why can't you use the Visme translation? These characters' names. I don't know why. Give it a chapter 9 out of 10. Okay, so that's gonna be it for news tonight. So like I said, it's really right now. It's almost 1 a.m. So I'm gonna basically call it a night. So see you later for my review for Bokenger and anime, and don't think of the comic covers. I'm gonna work on more Bokenger. Okay, next video. Bye.